Kevin Haig.
Why, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I heard. I should say the question is that the amendment be agreed to, acknowledging the amendment. Now, Kevin Haig.
Mr. Speaker, I want to begin by echoing the Honourable Ruth Dyson and the Honourable Trevor Mallard in expressing my appreciation of the officials who worked so hard servicing the needs of the Select Committee. Also to all of those members who sat on the Select Committee with me, both those who favour the bill and those who oppose it. I believe all did their job sincerely and well. And to particularly praise the job that was done by the Honourable Ruth Dyson in the chair, and indeed by Chris Aukenvold, who on occasion was also in the chair, in creating a culture in the Select Committee hearings of respect and integrity. Some of the submissions that we heard from people speaking in favour of the bill were hard to listen to, sir. They shared with the committee their own stories of the damage that prejudice and discrimination had brought them. Friends lost to suicide, their own self-harm, depression and isolation. And they told us also about their love, sir. It was wonderful to have lesbian, gay, transgendered and bisexual people come to the committee and speak about the people they love, their hopes for the future and the powerful difference this bill will make in their lives. Some people came with their partner. On one occasion, a young woman gave her submission with her partner, her parents, her sisters, and one of her sister's fiancé. Heterosexual people and couples came and told us about how they felt about marriage not being available to their gay friends. Parents came, children came, sir. They spoke about love and about belonging, how the institutions of a society like marriage form a kind of rope that binds society together across the generations and through history. Not all of us want to get married, but what we heard on the committee was a strong yearning for respect, for belonging, and to add our strands to that rope. It was striking that the submissions for the bill came from a huge range of organisations and individuals, offering an array of different perspectives: personal, religious, health, legal, human rights were just some of those. By way of contrast, sir, submissions opposed to the bill, while also sincere and strongly held, represented typically quite a narrow range of views and one particular perspective. Almost all of the submissions opposed to the bill came from a religious perspective. Most of them reflected the submission guide that had been circulated by a particular lobby group, often verbatim, including the errors. I want to make two broad generalisations about the debate overall. Firstly, from the word go, Louisa Wall and those of us who have been working for this bill have been absolutely clear that we have no wish to restrict the religious freedom of others. We know that some churches still had some doubt about that, but the Select Committee, rather than getting bogged down in whether their doubts had any validity, has moved to put the matter beyond doubt. The existing relationship between church and state has been preserved, with no church required to do or to say anything differently. But while the church voice that has been heard loudest has been one opposed to the bill, all the while there have been faiths, denominations, and congregations within denominations who have wished to be able to conduct same-sex marriages and whose freedom of religion has been constrained by the existing law. Passing this bill into law will extend religious freedoms and will not restrict them in any way. The second general point I want to make is that as I read the submissions, I was more and more struck by the difference in worldview they represented. Those in favour of the bill typically see New Zealand as a pluralistic society in which this Parliament needs to create a framework that supports and provides for a multiplicity of cultures, beliefs and value systems. By way of contrast, those opposed to the bill believe that this Parliament should legislate for a strict code of behaviour that conforms to a single or very tightly restricted set of beliefs and values based on their own religious belief. They believe all must comply with this behaviour code regardless of whether or not they share the beliefs on which it is based. We heard a lot about tradition, sir. Those opposed said that the institution of marriage shouldn't be changed because of tradition. Those who support the bill showed that progress can only occur by changing historical practices, and this has been the case, as Chris Aukenvoll has so ably demonstrated, with marriage many times over. This was graphically illustrated by so many of the arguments against this bill being precisely those that were used in the United States to try to justify continuing bans on interracial marriage. Tradition, slippery slope, God's will, all the same arguments, sir. The landmark Supreme Court case to finally end such bans in the United States was Loving versus the state of Virginia, kind of ironic, in 1967, although the last of those laws was only removed in Alabama in the year 2000. Mildred, a black woman, and Richard, a white man, fought a 9-year battle to have their marriage recognised in their home state. In 2007, then aged 68, a year before her death, Mildred Loving made a very rare statement about same-sex marriage, delivered on the 40th anniversary of the historic decision. Surrounded as I am now by wonderful children and grandchildren, not a day goes by that I don't think of Richard and our love, our right to marry, and how much it meant to me to have that freedom to marry the person precious to me, even if others thought he was the wrong kind of person for me to marry. I believe all Americans, no matter their race, no matter their sexual orientation, should have that same freedom to marry. Government has no business imposing some people's religious beliefs over others, especially if it denies people's civil rights. I am still not a political person, but I am proud that Richard's and my name is on a court case that can help reinforce the love, the commitment, the fairness, and the family that so many people, black or white, young or old, gay or straight, seek in life. I support the freedom to marry for all. Mr. Speaker, it's time.
Kanwal Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Tau Henare.
I've stood to take the call on a lot of occasions tonight, and I want to know from you, how are you determining who speaks?
I took the precaution of actually sending to whips beforehand what may be a preferential way of doing this, which was principally the mover of the bill, select committee members or leaders of the House, and then I would choose as Speaker subsequently after that. I've noted the members' intention to take a call. Point of order, Tau Henare.
Mr. Speaker, this is a conscience vote, a free vote, and therefore I think that it is wrong for you to go down that path. I think it is...
Order. I've made a ruling. The member may well disqualify himself if he persists. Colonel Bakshi.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity for me to speak on the second reading of marriage